gunned down on his own front porch.
He puts his keys in the lock and he's shot.
He didn't even see it coming.
A bodyguard to the stars, stopped dead in his tracks by a sniper lying in wait.
He dropped his iPad, his papers and things were all right there at the door.
But who'd want to murder the beloved husband and father?
My heart just bleeds for my children as a mom.
The search for a cold-blooded killer would expose dark family secrets
They didn't want the kids to catch on.
and leads to 2 shocking arrests.
I couldn't believe it.
This selfie is the last photo George Young would ever take. The busy bodyguard was working as usual.
He was doing security, armed security for a high-profile celebrity.
The gig protecting rapper Lil Yachty wasn't George's first assignment of the day. Ivy Barnhill says 12-hour workdays were the norm for her big brother.
My brother worked a lot. He worked 70 hours a week. He worked really hard to provide for his family.
In addition to his job installing security alarms, George had started his own business, providing security for celebrities in Atlanta.
We were all very proud of him for what he had accomplished, and he was proud of himself.
In mid-November, after leaving the rapper's clothing line launch in an Atlanta mall, George headed home to his family in nearby Beaufort.
It was very quiet, very clean, street lights. It was in a very good area.
But around 11:30 at night, the silence of suburbia was shattered by gunfire, just as George reached his front door. The proud father of 3 is shot twice.
He got shot from the side. His keys were actually in the door when he was shot and killed.
Inside, his wife Tia, who was upstairs in her bedroom, is startled by the sounds. This is what she told our Atlanta affiliate CBS 46 just hours after the murder.
I heard 2 loud gunshots. At first I thought it was gunshots, but I wasn't sure what it was. I didn't know if it was firecrackers.
Tia tells cops her brother Tim grabbed his shotgun and went outside to investigate.
At that point, she didn't know who it was or what was going on.
Gwinnett County Police Detective David Smith says that was about to change.
You still hear on the 911 call, he comes back in and tells her it was her husband.
Police and paramedics raced to the Youngs' home on Montauk Hill Drive, but it was too late. Amanda Coyne covered George's murder for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
When the EMTs arrive, they say that George has already died.
Detective Smith is one of the first investigators to arrive.
I see the victim laying on the steps just off the front porch. Of course, there's blood pooling there.
His immediate reaction to the crime scene:
This has to be some kind of ambush. He had no idea this was coming because the way his hands were, it's like everything just immediately dropped when he was shot.
the loud cracking pops of gunfire brings neighbors out to check on all the commotion.
People were very shocked. This is not a neighborhood that something like this occurs.
Cops quickly rule out robbery as a motive.
His wallet, phone, and everything were still on him, so they didn't take anything.
No weapon is found, but a shell casing is recovered.
When CSI got there, they combed the area. They used metal detectors to try to find the other one.
The second casing is never located.
The reason why we couldn't find the second shell casing was kind of weird to us. There wasn't many places it could have gone.
Detectives questioned George's grieving wife of more than 20 years, along with her mother and brother, who also lived with the family.
No one had any explanations or details to provide us that sent us in a certain direction.
A couple hours after the killing, George's sister Ivy is awakened by her husband, who delivers the tragic news.
He's like, "It's your brother." And I said, "What about my brother?" And he said, he's been shot. I said, "Okay, well, is he okay? What happened?" You know, he said, "No, babe, he's not okay. He's dead." And I just started screaming.
Ivy still lived in South Carolina with the rest of her family. Within hours, she was on the road, heading to Georgia, texting Tia along the way, trying to get answers.
She told me that the police thought it was mistaken identity. She said it could have been gang related, like a gang initiation type thing.
None of it was making sense to Ivy.
I'm not saying that, you know, bad things like that can't happen in good neighborhoods, but it was a very nice, quiet neighborhood, and as many times as I visited, I never felt unsafe.
And Ivy wasn't the only one surprised.
Why someone would be, we consider to be ambushed on their front porch like that.
especially targeting someone like George Young.
He was a really good guy. Everybody loved George. Everybody. Real friendly, likable personality. Would do anything for anybody.
Everyone that we talked to, he was such a good man. All he did was work. He was working so early in the morning till late at night.
Immediately, cops wonder, could the murder be tied to George's work, doing security detail for celebrities? Did something happen at his job that night with rapper Lil Yachty?
Did he get into an argument with someone and they followed him home? It just didn't seem random at all.
But after a few phone calls to his colleagues, that theory was tossed.
All the information we were getting while on scene was the night had gone great. He'd even told the person he was on the phone with on the way home that everything had gone really well and there hadn't been any issues.
So who'd want to kill George Young, and why? Up next, cops were about to get an earful.
She kind of threw it in there very nonchalantly, but to us that was a big deal.
And George's grieving sister was about to get a big shock at her brother's house.
I didn't like what I walked into and what I saw.
I expect them not to be able to remember everything, especially the first time, but their stories just didn't seem to add up, especially that short amount of time had only passed by. They couldn't get their stories together.